Hello there and welcome. It's Oliver Rolfe, CEO and founder of Spartan International Executive Search. Great to see you again. As the world gets bigger and we become more and more expansive, phone interviews are happening everywhere and have been for many, many years. A phone interview can often be very, very difficult, especially when you're not used to it. When you're face to face, you have a different feeling with an individual. You feel them, you connect with them, you can see how they react to your questions and what you're saying. Sometimes, over the phone, you lose a certain element and a certain connection with the individual. This is something you need to gain back on a phone interview and try your best to get yourself across as well as possible. To start with, it's useful to have a practice. If you're going direct for an interview, then maybe go and use a friend or a colleague. However, if you're working with a headhunter, I'm sure they will have a lot of time and be willing to give you a practice question and run you through an interview scenario. Before the interview starts, make sure you've booked it at the right time, the right date, you know what you're interviewing for, and you're exactly about the company, who you're speaking with, and everything about that department. Other than that, make sure you find yourself in a quiet room that you're not going to be distracted or disturbed by any outside noise, anyone coming in, or anyone knocking on the door. Additionally, we would always suggest taking a pad of paper with some notes of the interviewer, the company, and your CV. This way, it's useful to run through everything together and you won't have a problem remembering any detail. Personally, one of my favorite things to do on the phone, especially when interviewing, is standing up. When you stand up, your voice changes, you're able to emote better, and you're able to get your voice across in a certain different tone, passion, and presence in that conversation. Sometimes when you're sitting down and stationary, potentially slumped, your voice changes and it doesn't give the best element and the best sense of where you are. It can also give quite a negative feel, so it's important your voice is light, lifted, and positive. This will also ensure that your voice is heard extremely clearly. Make sure you don't rush what you say, take your time, and remember, it's not a race. It's the same as if you were sitting in front of someone else face to face, but purely over the phone. An odd tip, which is something that a lot of people don't do, is dress slightly nicer for a phone interview. If you think your mentality changes when you wear something more professional or whether you wear something nicer when you go out, the same will relate to your tone when you're wearing a suit, shirt and tie for an interview, even if this happens to be a phone interview. If you end up feeling more presentable, you will give a more professional voice and a more professional deliverance in that interview, and hopefully to secure a one-to-one meeting with that employer. There are some really important no-nos that you mustn't do through a phone interview. First and foremost, don't chew gum, don't eat, and try not to drink. If you need a sip of water, take the phone away from you so the other person cannot hear, take a sip, and then come back. The same applies if you've got a cough, cold, or the need to sneeze. Ideally, don't sneeze down the phone. No one likes that at the best of times. If you do sneeze, take your time, apologize, say excuse me, and move on. Now the final hint tip is one that you must remember and something that a lot of people do not do. When you're on the phone in an interview scenario, you can often feel uncomfortable, especially around silences. Try not to fill these silences unless you have something to say. If you're posed a question by an interviewer and want to answer quickly because of the silence, don't. Suggest to the interviewer, please let me take a minute to think about that and I'll come back to you in a second. In this way, the interviewer knows exactly what you're doing, there's no uncomfortable silence, it gives you time to think and you can deliver the perfect message and the perfect answer. I genuinely hope this has been useful for you and something you can use straight away in a phone interview. It's something I use daily myself and would suggest to anyone I would ever meet. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below with any questions and queries you may have. I cannot wait to see you again. Good luck in all you do, and remember, keep positive.